My name is Harold Granitur. I was born in Newark, New Jersey, and I was 1925, March 15th. I was drafted into the Army in 1943. I was in the 90th Infantry of the 1st Army when I went in. I was sent to Camp Van Dorn, Mississippi, the middle of nowhere. After boot camp, they shipped me up to New Jersey, getting ready to go into the war. So we waited around until they could put us on a ship, and they sent me over to England. When I made the invasion, I was in the 1st Army, and I went in on D-Day +2, that was the June 8th. Of course, everyone thinks that June 6th is the day of the invasion, but it depended on where you were supposed to be landing. And we were sitting out in the English Channel for 2 days waiting to get our orders to make our landing on the beach. So I landed on the beach on June the 8th. As far as I'm concerned, that was the first day. And luckily for us, we didn't meet any resistance on going in on, on a landing craft when they told us to get in, climb off the ship, get into the landing craft, the LCIs, with all of our gear. We had a lot of gear, which we got rid of very shortly, and we started to move up the peninsula. Every time we came to a crossroad, we had problems. This crossroad zeroed in with machine guns, and we started to lose personnel. I remember the first day that we had battle. By the end of the day, there was about a platoon of guys left out of a whole company in my outfit. And that seemed to be the MO for the rest of the war, as far as I'm concerned, because my division turned over personnel maybe 3 or 4 times, from wounded and killed. I myself was wounded twice during the war. Once, when we crossed the Moselle River, and it was a difficult crossing because the Germans kept knocking out the bridges, so we had the Navy had to bring up some kind of craft or something, boats, and we were able to get across the river, which was moving very quickly. When we got across the river there, we were supposed to take Fort Königsmacher. We attacked Fort Königsmacher. While we were going up the side of the mountain, our mortars were given orders to fire onto the mountain to soften up the Germans. The mortar squads, not knowing where we were exactly, because we were moving very quickly, much faster than they anticipated. What happened was they were firing on us. I remember I decided with a friend of mine named Jimmy Naylor. So we decided we were going to run underneath the firing. We would have made it, except for one thing. There was a new recruit who had jumped into a foxhole, and we knew that that was dangerous. He could have gotten killed because a lot of times they would booby trap the foxholes. He was in the foxhole, so we stopped for the moment, which we shouldn't have done, but we did, and we tried to extract him out of it. In the meantime, the mortars are coming towards us. And all of a sudden one explodes while we were taking him out nearby, and I got hit in the back, and Jimmy Naylor got hit in the back with a piece of shrapnel, but he didn't get wounded. I did, and he didn't. Why didn't he get wounded? He had kept his mess kit on his back. I don't know when he expected to get a warm meal. We never did. And a piece of shrapnel, I learned later on, after I came back from the medics. They sent me back, just patched me up and sent me back. I found out that a piece of shrapnel got stuck in his mess kit, and he never got wounded.
This was the Battle of the Bulge, the battle that came so dangerously close to crushing Allied hopes for early victory. This was the 11th hour von Rundstedt counterattack, on which Germany gambled everything.
When the Belgian bulge occurred, or my part of the army was south of the Belgian bulge, and they were having a great deal of difficulties up in that area where the bulge was, so that they started to ship us up the peninsula to get into the bulge. By that time, I was already I was in a different army. Instead of being in the First Army, I was in the Third Army, which was Patton's Third Army. The first time I encountered the fact that I was in the Third Army was on July 3rd, which was a day that I captured 180 Germans and brought them in. I don't remember the date exactly, but I know where it happened. It happened outside of the city of Mainz, which I think is a German city. There was a fort about a mile out. The guys that were left in my outfit, we were very disorganized by this time. We didn't have full companies and squads and things like that. Everything was put together. Nobody realizes how disorganized we were at different times. I hardly knew any of the men in my company. Anyhow, they knew, quite a few of them knew me. We're just getting into that city of Mainz, and then all of a sudden somebody comes up to me and says, my name is Harold Granitur, and they used to call me Granny for short. So somebody said, there's Germans out there, and they went around. So when somebody from my outfit said, get Granny. So they got me, and they said, there's some Germans out there that want to give themselves up. So I said, okay, can I have some guys go out there with me? I couldn't get anybody to go. I don't know how I was lucky I didn't get killed on the way up. When I got there, these Germans came out, and they started we started talking. I knew a little bit of French and a little bit of German. And so they said they were willing to give up, but they were afraid that the Americans would kill them. So I said, well, look, I'll take you in, and I'll be up front, in front of you, and you march in behind me. If I lift my hand up, you stop, and if I go like that, you go. And very shortly, they started coming out of the fort. I thought there were going to be about 30 people coming out of there. But they kept coming and coming. By the time they finished coming out of there, it turns out that it was like an army. And for that incident, I got a Bronze Star.
General Eisenhower informs me that the forces of Germany have surrendered to the United Nations. the flags of freedom fly all over Europe.
I'm not in favor of wars. I think that it's the worst thing that anyone ever asked somebody to participate in. They're cruel, they're unkind, they're demeaning. But if you, as an American, I feel that I was honored to be representing the United States of America. And I would do it again if I could.